Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning. It's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. It is Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and that means no BS job search advice. This is an opportunity that I take to talk with you about some of the things I see in the job market that people are doing that are self-destructive in an effort to help you correct the mistakes that you may be making that keep you from finding work. So let me talk with you about one thing that I see all the time. That people do that really is destructive to them in their careers. And let me just start by talking about myself and say that, when I was in high school, I grew up in the New York area, and I really didn't have a clear picture of what I wanted to do professionally. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and obviously I haven't done that. But I went to college with an idea toward becoming a lawyer, graduated, realized I really didn't want to be one, and then started to fumble around finding work before stumbling into my career as being a professional recruiter. This is in 1972. It's obviously been a long time since all of this happened. And along the way, what I've done is plan a series of strategic changes for myself that have helped me really further my career. Now, why do I bring all this up? And it's really to talk with you about career planning and job search planning and getting yourself organized so that you can really approach your career and your search in consistent and unified ways. And let me be more specific. Look at yourself and what you may have done with your high school and university life. Were you clear in high school, and did you follow up in that direction with college? Have your career plans evolved in ways that are consistent with that objective that you set for yourself? Did you do course correction along the way to kind of point yourself in the right direction? If you have you done the sort of training and professional coaching, received the kind of professional coaching and mentoring to assist you in moving in that kind of direction that is consistent with your career goals? As you're interviewing organizations, are you only looking for a job, or are you looking for a job that's consistent with your objectives? If you're like most people, you're not really communicating what your goals are to people and what your strategic objectives are. And you may not have even thought of any of them for the last few years as you desperately try to find work. But as you organize your job search, this is an opportunity to do basic course correction. Where are you working in ways that are consistent with your goals? Where have you been inconsistent? Since more and more firms are, shall we say, outsourcing professional training to individuals, are you taking this opportunity to do courses? Now, I want to do one more thing on planning, and this is some bigger picture planning thoughts. And I want to talk about where I could see the U.S. economy evolving over the next couple of years and how that might affect jobs. Now, in the U.S. right now, and for my international listeners, if this is new to you and it doesn't really apply these questions to your own country and circumstances. But in the U.S. right now, there are these tremendous discussions about raising the debt ceiling and creating a budget and not spending too much money. A lot of countries are doing that right now. And at the end of the day, there will be decisions made and a plan put in place that I think will be relatively modest, that will probably need to be renewed before the election. Exactly when, I don't know, and I don't particularly care. But my thought is that the goal for both parties is just to get through the election without anything dramatic. The Republicans are going to try and choke the president in some way by having relatively modest proposals and forcing him to return to the bargaining table at least once between now and the election a year and a half from now. The Democrats are going to try and stall and put the blame on the Republicans, but that part doesn't really matter. What's really going to matter is what happens after the election. Now, if a Republican candidate is elected president and there's a unified Republican Congress, I could see there being spending cuts that could be pretty dramatic. And I'm not even looking at taxes right now. I'm just looking at spending cuts for the Republicans in an effort to reduce the budget deficit. How might that affect the economy? And you need to start asking yourself that question now and start putting a plan into place to cope with that if that were to occur. On the other hand, if the president is reelected and he's able to have a unified Democratic Congress, what might happen then? Personally, I think they would attempt to further inflate the system, raise the debt ceiling significantly higher, and we'd be dealing with strong inflation. Neither scenario is particularly good, and my belief is the U.S. economy is going to have major course corrections no matter who's in office, because my opinion is with the stimulus programs and additional spending that has occurred as a result of the financial crisis, all that's happened is government has put off its day of reckoning in the markets to not make the recession appear as bad as it could have been. Pretty scary thought that it could have been even worse, right? But the impact is you need to do some career planning as well to be able to ride through what might happen after the election. Either way, what could you do to make yourself more marketable? What might you be able to do in the way of capital conservation between now and, let's say, 18 months after a presidential election? Where could you cut your spending now to give yourself an advantage to be able to ride through another dip, if that were the way the economy played out, or inflation? Can you imagine gas prices at $6 a gallon? I could. Frankly, foreign oil producers are not going to accept less spending power for their money, and I don't blame them. I don't think either of us would. So, there are some sea changes that are taking place in the global economy. The importance of the United States is going to be questioned for some years. It's kind of like the fall of the Iron Curtain. There were major changes in what used to be called the Soviet Union, which became Russia and the other former Soviet states. And they had several very difficult years before starting to emerge from it. I think America goes through something along those lines no matter who's elected, and the impact on us as citizens in this country require that we be prepared and planned to look ahead to after this election, where government's going to have to make more significant changes. Because, again, you may not be aware of this, half of all Americans do not pay taxes. If you confiscated all the money of the wealthiest people in this country, it would do very little to pay down the debt. And finally, and when all is said and done, the deficit isn't $17 trillion. It's over $100 trillion with the additional unfunded mandates that exist, like Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid, health care, and other spending issues. So we've got some changes ahead of us, and we need to start thinking now in order to be prepared for them. I also want to talk with you about some of the jobs I'm recruiting for, because maybe some of these can help you find work and get you positioned for the next few years of your career. So let me start off by talking with you about a few of these jobs. And one of them is a position based in New York for a systems administrator for someone with a CCNP and Unix and Linux systems administration experience. This is paying between $80,000 and $100,000 plus bonus. Have a position in Bentonville, Arkansas. No, it's not working for Walmart, although I expect they're the end client. This is for a market research firm that's looking for a retail client director with a background in consumer products or the market research industry, with a background with syndicated data products or services, who's managed people, who's worked with an end customer. I have a director's position that's paying a little over $150,000. I have an assistant client manager's position that I believe is paying to about $110,000. It's obviously a scaled-down version of the director role. This is a little unusual for me, but I have a position for a dermatologist that's going to be based in Suffolk County, Long Island, where they want someone who has graduated from an accredited U.S. medical school, has participated in an accredited U.S. dermatology residency, who has a background with general cosmetic and laser dermatology. This is paying a base of between $250 and $350, plus a percentage of revenue that you generate that could add another 40%. Have a role in New York for a Linux systems administrator. This is a Red Hat Linux person with experience in replacing Dell and IBM server hardware components, working for a not-for-profit in New York. This is paying to about $100 on a base plus bonus. I have a role for Charles River, Senior Consultants and Solutions Architects. If you don't know what Charles River is, you're not the right person for the role. These are positions that could be based in New York or Chicago, or Charlotte, or the D.C. area, or Boston, or San Francisco. There's a range of roles that could pay up to, let's say, the least expensive one is about $65,000. The most expensive role would be to about $250,000. Have a role in the financial services solutions practice of a consulting firm, again based in New York, Charlotte, Boston, the D.C. area, or San Francisco, again with about 80% travel. Previous experience with Oracle, PeopleSoft, or SAP, General Ledger, or Accounting Hub, Hyperion, HFM, Hyperion, FDM, or FDQM, financial data warehouses, data governance, working with customers around the U.S. As an advisor to financial services firms. Again, a comparable salary range to what I quoted earlier. I have a couple of roles for people with a background with Wall Street systems software. Now, again, if you're not familiar with what that is, you're not the right person for the role. They want documentation work. Positions are based in Atlanta, or they'll do fly-in, fly-out, where they'll get you to Atlanta during the week, get you home for the weekends. So if you're qualified, interested, and available in any of these positions, email your resume to me at thebiggamehunter@cisny.com. If you don't fit any of these roles, of course, come over to my website for others. And at the same time, feel free to email your resume to me at that same address. But in the subject line, use the phrase on spec. This will let me keep an eye out for things, but I can also look at it at my convenience rather than rushing to response. I also want to remind you that I'm now doing daily audios Tuesday through Friday of jobs that I'm recruiting for that you can pick up at my website or at Cinch FM. My website is jeffaltman.com. And there are other positions I have listed there. You can also receive a complimentary subscription to No BS Job Search Advice e-zine, which I publish every Tuesday at noon. And then we're getting audios of jobs that I'm recruiting for. This is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, with No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I'll be speaking with you again next week. Take care. Have a great day. Take care.
Napa know-how.
A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, waterbed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.